Hi guys, so Zia Yusuf, the unelected bureaucrat at Reform UK, got a little bit tetchy during an interview with Trevor Phillips from Sky News, where the reporter asked him about his boss Nigel Farage's comments in the past regarding Vladimir Putin, Russia, the war in Ukraine, and of course the scandal this week which involved a former member of the party being thrown in jail for 10 years for taking Russian bribes. Have a listen to this.
Well, I'm going to ask you this. It's never been entirely clear to many people where your party stands on Putin, or specifically your leader. Here's what Mr. Farage said last June. He said, "It was obvious to me that the ever-eastward expansion of NATO and the EU was giving this man, Putin, a reason to say they're coming for us again and go to war. We provoked this war." Look, whatever Nigel Farage meant by that, would you accept that his words may have given encouragement to the Kremlin?
No, I would not accept that at all. But the context for those words, by the way, Nigel gave a speech in Europe about a decade ago, basically warning that there's a path that's being head on here. But look, as Nigel...
You notice that he left out the part where Nigel Farage says, "You're poking the Russian bear." And he blamed, of course, the European Union, and he blamed NATO. And he did it again. Now, of course, Nigel Farage has looked at the polling and realised that there isn't a huge amount of support for Vladimir Putin in Britain, and it's damaging Reform UK, so now he's changed his tune somewhat.
Said we are where we are. Nigel's already said, for example, when he was pressed as to how he would respond if he was Prime Minister and Russian jets encroached into NATO airspace, that his view is that those planes should be shot down.
Which is very convenient, isn't it? All of a sudden now it's, we need to take a hardline approach with Russia. When Nigel Farage was a member of the European Union, he voted against measures that would clamp down on, for example, money coming from Russia into political parties.
We're crystal clear about our position.
I'm not trying to misrepresent. I'm not trying to misrepresent his position at all. All I'm saying is that all I'm asking is, Russians are free to take anybody's words and mangle them. Do you think that it was a mistake for him to use the words "we provoked this war"?
Again, no, I don't think so, because of the context of him merely repeating what he had said a decade ago. And listen, I would also say this, the notion that Vladimir Putin, the murderous dictator, is making decisions based on what Nigel Farage was saying here in England, I think is for the birds. We know...
So now it doesn't matter what Nigel Farage said because no one was really listening. Then why did Vladimir Putin's administration, his regime, donate money to one of your members to ask questions on behalf of his regime in the European Parliament? If he thought that he had no influence, why did he spend so much money?
We are now in a situation where Ukraine's sovereignty has been violated. Vladimir Putin needs to be brought to heel, and that's what we need to focus on.
But I want to give you the opportunity to be absolutely crystal clear.
Sure.
Because if I were watching this in Moscow, I'd already be writing down, he supported the phrase, we the West, provoked the war, and that comes from a leading figure in the party that is leading the polls in the United Kingdom. So actually a reform government could turn out to be an ally here. I want you to be absolutely clear where you stand on this. Do you repudiate the words,
Trevor,
we provoked the war?
Nigel has been on the record, 2 weeks ago, saying that if he was a Prime Minister and Russian planes encroached into NATO airspace, he as Prime Minister would suggest that those be shot down.
But that's not the question that was asked. The question was about repudiating what Nigel Farage had previously said, that it was the fault of NATO and the European Union when it came to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Why can you not see? The problem here is that Nigel Farage should be on the show defending his words, not sending some unelected bureaucrat on his behalf. Isn't this a little bit telling?
Don't know how much clearer we can be. And as someone who's worked with Nigel, I will tell you this. He did say a decade ago, and I think, frankly, it was quite prophetic, that there was a path that was being headed down here. But we are where we are now. And whenever Nigel is asked about this, Trevor, whenever Nigel's asked about this, he is crystal clear. Vladimir Putin is a murderous dictator. He is the aggressor in this war. And if Russian planes
I
were
asked you a very
encroaching into
specific
NATO airspace,
question.
they should be shot down.
Nigel
I don't know how
Farage
I can
isn't
be any
sitting
clearer.
here. You are. You're the authority.
I'm not, because he's the leader of the party.
Yeah.
Then why the heck was he not on the show? You were there to answer on behalf of Reform UK, on behalf of Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage didn't turn up. You were sent instead. Nigel Farage could have gone on to Sky News and done this interview, but he decided not to. It was probably because of, well, difficult questions that were going to be asked.
But you're the head of policy. You're on television. You're a top guy. He used the words, "We provoked this war." Do you repudiate those words?
If you take all of the things Nigel has said in context, over the last decade, again, this is not some flash-in-the-pan comment. Nigel's been crystal clear. And Trevor, you are a smart person, and so are the people watching this programme. Two things can be true at the same time.
Why can't you just say...
He has said...
Why can't you just say,
because it is not Nigel Farage's position that we, quote, provoked the war. Nigel's position is that
It's not his position that we provoked the war. He literally said that. The mental gymnastics here are amazing. No. Nigel Farage said it was the West's fault, or it was NATO's fault, it was the EU's fault. But Nigel Farage doesn't actually believe that. Then why did he say it if he didn't believe it? Is this another case of Nigel Farage was just doing what he was paid to do? It's like, this is a little bit more telling than I expected. Nigel Farage doesn't actually believe that it was NATO's fault and the EU's fault. He was just doing what the Kremlin told him to say.
A whole series of decisions.
We'll get out the clip before the end of the programme.
A whole series of positions were taken by NATO and by the European Union. We are where we are, and Reform and Nigel stands with the Ukrainians as Prime Minister. And by the way, that is a firmer position than the Prime Minister, by the way. Nigel's position is if Russian planes encroach into NATO airspace, they should be shot down. And I put it to you, those are stronger words with regards to Vladimir Putin than either the Prime Minister or Kemi Badenoch.
Yeah, by the way, Ukraine's not in NATO, so it wouldn't apply.
What an idiotic position to take. Yeah. If Russian planes enter NATO territory, we'll shut them down. Yeah, but that's nothing to do with Ukraine, because Ukraine, of course, is not a member of NATO. You know, it's easy for Nigel Farage to say, of course, I would be tough with Vladimir Putin, because I've looked at the polling and I've seen that my admiration for Vladimir Putin has damaged me somewhat. So we've decided as a party to jettison our support for Russia. You know, maybe the money has stopped flowing in. This is extremely serious. I've been joking about this, but this is extremely serious. What control do outside influences have over Nigel Farage? You know, it's not just about Russia, it's about other countries as well. It's about multimillionaires and billionaires. How much control do they have over Reform UK? Because they're the ones who are shoveling money into this party. And of course, they're not doing it out of the kindness of their hearts. They're doing it because they want something in return. In the same way as people were investing in Conservative MPs and getting PPE contracts in return. So the people who are investing in Reform UK, donating to the party, what do they want? It's not just about Russia anymore. It's about a whole range of other issues. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.